What's up, YouTube? How's it going? First things first, I'm not here to coddle Shan Boodram, but I will be fair. Nevertheless, I'm here to defend and support Loni. Alright? Loni Love from the real. Okay? And when this situation first broke, for some reason, Shan Boodram's video response to this situation ended up in my recommendation list for some reason. And I saw the title and I was like, huh. So I clicked it and I was like, oh, I didn't know that all this happened, right? So a bit of a quick recap, right quick, just in case you don't know. Shan Boodram is a YouTuber, and Loni Love is one of the co-hosts on The Real. Shan Boodram wind up becoming a topic of conversation on The Real when it came to relationships and coaching and things like that. So Shan Boodram came up as a topic of conversation. Adrian was talking about all that Shan Boodram does for her clients. And Adrian got to the topic of Shan Boodram following one of her clients on a date and using cue cards to tell her, what to do and what to say. Loni, she wasn't really feeling that, and she said, white people. Right? And then folks got really offended. The people on the panel got really offended. And they were saying, like, she's not white, Loni. She's not white. And then she's like, show her picture again. And she's like, she's white. And it's like, she's not white. And then, then Jeannie Mai jumps in for some reason. Because they're like, her and Shan Boodram are friends. And then she's saying, like, she's not white and she's a really cool person and all that. And then Loni Love brings up a good, important fact. Like, well, she's not all the way black, is she? And then Jeannie Mai attempts to respond to that with, like, I guess, since when does percentage matter? She was cut off, so I don't know exactly for sure what was her statement in regards to that. But nevertheless, that happened on The Real, and then it kind of turned into a big thing on YouTube. And then, how they like to play out, like, oh, the darker skinned black woman, she's jealous of the light skinned biracial mixed woman. They, playing that old, worn out, tired ass song, right? That we've heard again and again and again. And it's just like, get a new playlist, man. This playlist is washed, all right? So for me personally, I don't really think this situation was really that big of a deal. I was going to make a video about this situation when it first happened, but then I was like, this video, it's not really that big of a deal. No one really wants to even talk about this and hear about this. But apparently people do, because this has been somewhat of a topic for a moment. And, people have been commenting on Loni, and people have been commenting on Shan. Topic of colorism comes up. This, that, and the third, right? So I think for some reason, I think people were mad at Loni because maybe they felt like they were, like Loni was othering Shan Boodram from blackness, even though Shan Boodram does not identify as a black woman. She identifies as mixed, biracial, multiracial, or perhaps Caribbean, whatever that means. She does not identify as a black woman, She acknowledges that she is part black, but she does not identify as a black woman, right? So right then and there, if we're having conversations talking about, oh, Shan Boodram is, just as black as anybody else, and, Loni shouldn't be othering her from blackness, well, Shan Boodram othered herself from blackness, right? Which is fine. I'm just saying. That's fine on her part. She has the right to identify as she wish. But, you know, it's just something interesting that needs to be noted here, right? Like, you know, Loni Love othered Shan Boodram from Blackness, and Shan Boodram othered herself from Blackness. Although people gave Loni the flack for othering Shan Boodram from Blackness, while I don't really see much flack coming from other people in regards to Shan Boodram herself othering herself from Blackness, right? So it's like, oh, you know, Loni, she can't do that. Like, she can't be quote unquote exclusive when it comes to her racial identity. And but, you know, Shan Boodram can be, you know, in a position to say, okay, I'm in here, I'm in this group. Oh, no, I'm not in this group, right? Notice that, how that plays out too, right? So again, personally, I didn't really think this situation was really that big of a deal. But yeah, apparently it is a big deal to some people for some reason, right? Because, you know, when a light-skinned mixed biracial woman is othered from Blackness, you know, all hell tends to break loose for some reason. It's like all of a sudden, you know, jokes, you know, racial jokes don't apply, colorist jokes don't apply. Like, you know, you can't joke about that. You can't make jokes about that. That's serious. You know, we can't do that. You know. You know, colorism is a real big issue in the black community, right? You know, and personally, I feel like Loni was just saying like, oh, you know, that's white people, white people. I think ultimately was the idea that she was trying to express was just like she felt that the cue card thing was corny, lame, and maybe a little weird. I think that was ultimately the idea that Loni was trying to express. But, you know, she expressed it using, oh, you know, white people. And, you know, black people do kind of do that. That's sort of a thing when it comes to black people, when it comes to like, oh, you know, that's white people stuff. You know, that does happen. People do say that. You know, it's not politically correct to say it. And, you know, it can be offensive and even a little ignorant, depending on what exactly you're referring to as white people stuff. You know, like, oh, you know, read it. Oh, that's white people stuff. Yeah, that's a little ignorant to say, right? uh, but ultimately, I just think that was the idea that Loni was just trying to express. And people, I guess, didn't really pick up on it. And I think people kind of more so felt like Loni was trying to other Shan from Blackness, you know, because, you know, Shan is just, you know, such a, you know, loud and proud black woman right now. She a black queen, and Loni's trying to take away her crown, right? You know, and I do see, like, when this situation happened, I did go onto Shan Boodram's page and, you know, post comments in support of Loni Love, you know, as soon as I found out about, pretty much probably as soon as she posted the video, if not at least the same day as she posted the video. Shan Boodram posted the video in response to this situation, right? You know, and I did support Loni in the comments section of that. You know, the receipts are still there, right? And Loni has spoken about this situation on The Real. She didn't apologize, which is good. I don't think an apology is really necessary. What would she be? I don't really know what she's apologizing for. First of all, what exactly did she do that was just so out of the order, like just, you know, so offensive? When she referred to Shan Boodram as white and they corrected her, she was like, okay, you know, she's biracial then, right? She changed it up. She didn't continue saying, oh, she white, you know, get her out of here. No, she's changed it up. And, you know, then Loni went into this whole thing about, you know, a white side and a black side of biracials. And then some people were like, well, biracial doesn't necessarily mean just black and white, which is true. But nevertheless, Shan Boodram is part black, part white, part East Indian. So I think part black and part white would apply to Shan Boodram in this case. And, you know, Loni just spoke about how she feels like, you know, this may just be her white side coming out when it comes to the cue card situation. And then Loni Love talked about, she kind of brought Tamara into the mix for a second and just said, sometimes, Tamara does some things that I'm like, oh, that's her white side. And then she does some things that, oh, that's her black side, you know. And, oddly enough, I think Jeannie Mai was more offended than Tamara. It would be more understandable if Tamara was offended. But, Tamara, I think her and Loni do have like a relationship outside of the show. And, they, probably have had, you know, extended conversations about race and things like that. And they've known each other for a while. So Tamara, she probably just knows, like, and that's just Loni. It's not anything to really take to heart and to, go crazy about, And as well, I do think that Loni Love considers Tamara a black woman, and Tamara considers herself a black woman, even though she's mixed. And that's a whole topic in itself, right? But I do remember seeing a clip, of particularly Tamar and Loni kind of talking with Tamara about her race. That kind of sort of came up in the topic of conversation, and Tamar was like, "Oh, you're mixed though," and Tamara was like, I am mixed, but I consider myself a black woman, right? And then Loni came through and said, did y'all see Sister Sister? Like, she is black, all right? And that's another thing I kind of want to bring up right quick is, like, sometimes when it comes to black people, particularly darker skinned black people, in regards to kind of like who they consider black and who they consider non-black, especially when it comes to like people who are mixed race, sometimes I do think that it is contingent upon how much you like the person. Like, if you really like the person, like, okay, like, you black, you're right. And I've low-key kind of experienced that in my day-to-day life, and also even on YouTube. When people like me, they seem to kind of more so pull me into blackness. And when people don't like me, they tend to push me away from blackness, right? And I don't completely fault darker skinned black people for doing this, because I do think that, ultimately I feel like this is a form of vetting people, especially biracial and mixed people. It's not the best form of vetting, because it is kind of like purely contingent on somewhat of a likability, popularity contest, but it is a form of vetting, So, I think if you're going to be accepting mixed people and biracial people into the community, into the fray, what have you, I think they do need to be vetted. Perhaps the vetting process could be a little better, but nevertheless, they should be vetted, as well as any other person. Really, everybody at this point needs to be vetted. Everybody. God dang it. So, yeah, and I kind of meant to have made a video about this a while ago, but I never made a video about it, just because I just got distracted with other things in my life at the moment. But yeah, I do even see that like with Beyonce. Like, that happens with Beyonce, where it's like, black women be like, oh, Beyonce, she ain't mixed, she black, she has a black dad and a light-skinned mama. She black, Oh, Beyonce don't fit in with them mixed girls. Look at her. She don't look like them mixed girls. Like, oh, Beyonce's not even that light-skinned. I've heard comments like that before. I'm like, y'all will go to the ends of the earth to protect your divine light-skinned deity, Beyonce. Like, no, don't take Beyonce away from us, please. No. I don't know what I would do without Beyonce. My divine light-skinned deity, please don't forsake me. But yeah, I do see that. Another thing I want to talk about is black women's reaction to this situation. Not all, but some. The ones who are caping so hard for Shan Boodram. And I'm just like, can somebody please just pimp slap some sense into these women? These women, to me, tend to fall into a few categories. One, I think these are women, particularly black women, darker skinned black women, who are doing this, caping so hard for Shan Boodram and dragging Loni Love in the process. I think that they are, perhaps fans of Shan Boodram, and they just want to go hard for Shan Boodram. Another thing is, I think that they may be, quote unquote, black male identified black women. And I do notice this with black male identified black women. They do tend to go against their best interest because that's that black male mindset that is playing out in them. So they kind of, to an extent, kind of have like a black female mindset at one time, and then a black male mindset at one point or another. And then, I don't know exactly how that works. I'm not a psychologist, unfortunately, but I do know something is up there, right? At this point, I'm just about ready to call them undercover transgendered folk at this point, because their mind is just, they're women, but their mind is very much black male identified, right? And I think some people are just going with what's popular and what's on trend. Like, oh, it's, this is what's on trend right now. Let's drag Loni Love. But yeah, unfortunately, this is nothing new, and this is not a surprise. And I think sometimes black women often do this as well to sort of differentiate themselves from women like Loni. Like, oh, I'm not like that. I ain't like that now. Shoot, I'm not jealous. I'm not insecure. I'm not bitter. That's the other brown skin, dark skin sisters, not me. Right? Let me differentiate myself from them. Right? And I even seen some of these black female YouTubers, a couple of them, who do like gossip videos, and it's like, just going so hard for Shan Boodram. Maybe they're fans of Shan, or maybe, I don't know. Firstly, like I said before, I didn't really think this situation was that big of a deal, right? And I still don't really think it's that big of a deal. Honestly, if anything, this situation has probably helped Shan Boodram get more recognition and more shine and more spotlight, which is fine. Shan Boodram, she sort of, like I said, she made a follow-up video to the video that she posted. So, she going with the flow, kind of like, milking this to get some more fame and publicity, right? She got mentioned on a national television show, right? And, Loni Love gave her some free promo, right? Because honestly, if this situation had just gone A-OK, we wouldn't be talking about it, right? So really, Shan Boodram should be thanking Loni, in a way. I wish Loni would drag me on the reel. Shoot. Up my subscriber count, Loni. Drag me, Loni. Drag me all across the reel, Loni. Give me that free promo, Loni. But I think that's pretty much all I have to say about this situation at the moment. Yeah, so ultimately, I don't really think this situation was that big of a deal, as I mentioned plenty of times in this video. It's just not really that big of a deal. And, I think, as well in the follow-up video, Shan Boodram, she did give a shout out to a particular YouTuber who posted a video about this, who, is very much the, it girl when it comes to the colorism conversation. I think we all know who I'm talking about. And also, she spoke on some situations that involve colorism a little bit, and she said that she didn't mean to foster a situation or an environment that would cause people to be have animosity towards Loni, and she did apologize for that. She did say that she still felt like what Loni said was lame, right? And I'm sure Loni still feels the same way about Shan Boodram's situation with the cue cards, that it was white and corny and lame too, right? Um, and Shan Boodram came through and talked about the little video that she posted of her crying and saying, like, you know, she made that video before she even watched the video of the reel. A little weird there. Um, yeah, and that's pretty much it. Yeah. Let me think. Is there anything else I can talk about? And then, let's see. I heard basically saying like, oh, Loni Love should quit the reel, right? And I'm like, the thing is, when it comes to job opportunities in Hollywood, especially job opportunities for Black people, and even more especially job opportunities for Black women, and even more especially job opportunities for plus size Black women, they just aren't that plentiful, right? To be 100% real, they just aren't in high quantity, right? I heard one Black actress say, when it comes to Black women in Hollywood, they all know each other. They've all auditioned against each other because the opportunities are just so scarce that they always run into each other. They're always going for the same parts, right? Considering all that, I don't think Loni should jump ship just yet. It's not like, oh, let me quit. No, I don't really think she should do that. You know, I think she should ultimately ride this wave of the reel until there's no more wave to ride, and then try to transition into something else. I heard that Loni does want to do more, you know, serious, hard-hitting topics that deal with politics, and she may even be trying to kind of like, you know, spin off into her own show. I think I heard that at one point when she was on the Breakfast Club, and she talked about the Tamar situation with the Breakfast Club and the other girls as well. I remember hearing about that. So, you know, Loni Love may be kind of like trying to, you know, work out how she can smoothly transition into the next role, you know, her next gig, right? But I do notice that when it comes to, you know, Black women who are plus size, particularly, especially, I'll say, it seems like, oh, you should quit. Oh, you shouldn't take that role. Oh, this isn't a good look for Black women. I'm like, okay, yeah, but these roles, y'all know these roles are not in high quantity. They're not plentiful. They're really scarce. So you kind of have to take what you can get. And you're telling Black women just to up and quit their situation, you know, I don't think that's really helping. That's not really going to help them, right? If anything, it may end up causing more problems and more drama, but that's another video though. I just wanted to speak on that for a quick second too, where it's like, you know, you can't just go around up and quitting any and everything just because of a situation. And people, you know, it's like, well, you know, Loni Love is being purposely juxtaposed against thin non-Black women. You know, I guess Tamara is being included in the non-Black women category, and you know, folks don't like how that looks, right? And you know how, yeah, that's a whole nother topic. Long story short, Loni should not quit the reel until she just make sure she has a good situation, because you can go to a solo gig and flop and fail. So you have to be careful about how you transition, because you don't want to go to a solo gig, flop and fail, and then be trying to crawl back to the reel, or either just not have any, you know, idea of what the next move is. And to be fair, I don't think when people were saying this, I don't think they were just telling her to literally just up and quit, but still, it's something that needs to be said and addressed and spoken about, though. Let's see. And one more thing I want to talk about is Jeannie Mai. During that whole situation, Jeannie Mai, she was kind of annoyed. I heard she was annoyed throughout the whole show with Loni. I didn't see the whole show. I just saw the clip. And Jeannie Mai, again, she seemed more offended than Tamara. And it would be a bit more understandable if Tamara was offended, but Jeannie Mai was offended because Shan Boodram is a friend of hers, and she is quote unquote mad cool. And she didn't appreciate Loni, referring to her friend as white. Oddly enough, that cue card situation, Shan Boodram did that for a black woman. Oddly enough, just putting that out there too. But during that situation, Jeannie Mai was low-key trying to define, what is black and what is not black. Low-key, right? But is Loni Love defining what is Asian and what is not as Asian? What not is Asian? That's the thing, because in Jeannie Mai's culture, mixed people are considered mixed people. They're not considered Asian if they're part non-Asian, especially if they're part black. Now, if they're part white, they might be able to slide in there depending on how they look. But if they're part black, nah, no. All right, they ain't fucking with it. And that's something to put out there too. Women like Jeannie Mai, they do get a little comfortable. All right, we can't have non-black folks coming into black spaces and acting like they can dictate, like who is not black and who is not considered black. Again, that's where low-key black people kind of fuck up, especially when it comes to black women being in this black male identified mindset, thinking like these non-black women are for you just because they date black men. It's not like that. All right. But that's pretty much all I gotta say. I'm not gonna drag this video out any longer. So thanks for watching. Feel free to comment. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Until the next video, adios and goodbye for now.